Welcome to the College Football Bros, the podcast that's ready for Power 5 football. And now, here are your hosts, Michael, Ryan, and Trey Newman.
Welcome to the College Football Bros podcast. I am Michael Newman, and I'm joined by the brother who went 4-1 in the Pick'em pool.
That is me, Ryan Newman.
And by the other brother who also went 4-1.
That's right, me too, Trey Newman.
All three of us did. That's going to be our best, percentage-wise at the very least, that's going to be our best week.
Stellar week.
3-0 on locks.
Very good.
Your guys' were easy, though.
Yeah, that's how we like it. Ryan, my locks usually always win by at least 20 points.
I had to earn mine. I was a backdoor cover with Arkansas State.
All right. Well, be sure to follow us on Twitter at CFB Bros to find the link for that Pick'em pool. We're just 1 week in, and we only had 5 games last week in the pool, so not too late to join. We're going to have a full slate of 20 to choose from this week. And if you'd like to bet your picks with real money, you can join our sponsor, MyBookie, where winning season has returned. So you can sign up now and get your first deposit matched dollar for dollar, all the way up to $1,000 when you use the promo code CFBROS. And there's a 10 times rollover requirement before you can withdraw your funds with that promo. So good to be aware of, but still a really good deal. And you can also enter the MyBookie NFL Super Contest. All you have to do is pick 5 NFL games against the spread each week to have a chance at $100,000 guaranteed in cash prizes. And on top of that, there's thousands of bets to choose from: college football, NFL, NBA playoffs. Every play you want to make is waiting at MyBookie, including, we were just talking about this before the podcast, a ridiculous point spread they're offering, plus 54 on the Kansas City Chiefs game on Thursday night. So if you're listening to this Thursday morning, might be a good time to sign up. You can bet up to $50 on that to win 45. So
that's the crazy part to me. It's -1. You can win 45. It's not just like a couple bucks. I was thinking it was just a couple bucks this whole time.
Oh, no. They're pretty much giving away free money.
Yeah,
watch the Chiefs lose by 60. But I don't think that I wouldn't bet on that.
Yeah.
So now's a good time to sign up. Go to MyBookie and use the promo code CFBROS to double your first deposit. All right, let's talk about that week 1. We have a few takeaways here from each game.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. So to start off, we had Thursday night. South Alabama played at Southern Miss. The Jaguars, they won their first road game since 2017. They beat Southern Miss 32-21 as a double-digit underdog. And it really just kind of started from the get-go. On the third play of the game, Desmond Trotter threw a 73-yard touchdown pass, and that really just set the tone. They racked up 526 yards. Trotter finished with 299, 2 scores. He did throw 2 picks, though. But they really looked like the favorites in this game. And another reason that this game was interesting, we all kind of felt old by watching this because Frank Gore Jr. was toting the rock for Southern Miss.
Wow.
But then on another note, the game went so bad for Southern Miss that their head coach actually stepped down in the best interest of the players and coaches, he said. So it was kind of some odd timing for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Jay Hopson gone after one game.
So bizarre.
Crazy. Yeah, that was weird. Very, very weird. All right, let's move on to the next one here. A very boring game. Middle Tennessee played at Army. Complete blowout. Army won 42-0. Asher O'Hara, for the quarterback for Middle Tennessee, was awful, painfully bad. He couldn't run in this game. He couldn't throw. I mean, they had 4 turnovers as a team. They were just horrible. Army looked good for sure. They were solid. But to me, this one was just more Middle Tennessee State looked really, really bad. They just couldn't do anything. But huge win for Army. This one was pretty close point spread.
Okay. SMU at Texas State is the other game we have here. And SMU really struggled against what is expected to be one of the worst teams in the country in Texas State. But they ended up holding on to win 31-24. And, offensively, they actually moved the ball pretty well. They just turned it over 3 times in Texas State territory. So they would have put up a lot more points had it not been for that. Shane Bayshell did make some really bad throws. He was responsible for some of those turnovers. The defense, though, I think is the more of a concern for SMU. That was the concern coming into the season, and maybe Texas State is better than we thought, and their quarterback Brady McBride, at least to the eye test, looked good. His stats weren't all that great, but they also ran the ball well against SMU. So cautiously concerning if you're a Mustangs fan.
Yep. Dub's a
Yes,
dub.
it is. Yes, it is. And then next we had Arkansas State at Memphis. Memphis won this 37-24, but Arkansas State gave them a game, especially in the first half. It was 21-17 in the third quarter, and they actually put up over 400 yards of offense against that Memphis D. But Memphis's offense was just a little too much. Brady White, he was efficient, had 4 touchdown passes. Rodriguez Clark added 105 on the ground and a score. And we talked about it before this game, but the Red Wolves, they stuck to their 2 QB system with Logan Bonner and Lane Hatcher. And you could argue it potentially ruined a little bit of the momentum that they could have sustained. Bonner ended up throwing 2 picks, and the Bros, we'd all like to see Hatcher, I think, be QB1 out there.
Yeah, I kind of like Bonner, but yeah, hard after game 1, hard not to like Hatcher. All right. Yep. Moving on here to BYU and Navy. So another service academy game for me. But another blowout.
And that's the end of that.
And another blowout. This time in the opposite directions. The service academy was on the short end of the stick big time. Was it BYU's favored 1? It was about a pick 'em. This game was teetering either way the whole week. BYU won 55-3. Just a joke of a game. Zach Wilson, quarterback for BYU, he looked really good. He was very efficient. Yards per pass was like 13 or something. It was a great, efficient game. Gunnar Romney, wide out for BYU, had a solid game. Navy rushed for just 119 yards. So that's not going to win any. You're not going to win any games at Navy if you only rush for that much. So
yeah,
brutal. Start with the heck, man.
It was bad. I mean, BYU's offensive line was just manhandling them. They were running the ball all over them, and they said during the telecast that Navy essentially hadn't been kind of blocking and tackling in practice, or very limited at the very least. So that seemed to play a factor.
Yeah, when Navy lost their huge run stuffer from last year, obviously makes a difference.
Yeah. Okay, let's look ahead to week 2 then. Let's make some picks, and it starts Thursday night. UAB at Miami. Miami's favored 14.5. And the thing to watch here is Miami's new offense with De'Aaron King going up against a really good UAB defense. UAB had a closer than expected game last week against Central Arkansas, but it wasn't the defense's fault. There were special teams blunders, turnovers that gave some really short fields to Central Arkansas. So I expect Miami's offense to have some struggles against that defense, especially on the offensive line. That's a big question mark for Miami. And on the other side, at defensive end, Jordan Smith is a beast. He's going to get some pressure for sure.
Back machine.
But I think De'Aaron King he can just make things happen. He's a hard guy to bring down. So I think, they can put up some points against that UAB defense. On the other side, I don't have a lot of faith in UAB's offense. They're projected 18th in SP plus offense. So I think Miami's going to shut them down. And I mean, 14.5 is a big spread. If this was 13.5 earlier in the week, I'd be a lot more confident there. As it is, I'll cautiously pick Miami minus 14.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami as well. My only hesitation, though, when I'm looking at this is that the public is very enamored with De'Aaron King transferring, and there's a lot of big names and, some new personnel or coaching staff at Miami. So the line could be slightly inflated, but overall, I love Bill Clark, but I wasn't overly impressed with UAB last week. It helps that it might be to their benefit that they got a game under their belt, but they didn't win in the style that I wanted them to in order for me to have much confidence going with them this week. So I'm really curious to see Lashley's offense, and they should be able to put up some points based on what we saw last week with UAB's defense. I'm really also curious to see how De'Aaron King can mesh with their star tight end, Brevin Jordan. I want to see if that tandem can get going early and see if that sets the tone for the season. But if UAB wants to have any chance, like you kind of touched on, Michael, they cannot turn the ball over like they did. They made some blunders last week, had 3 turnovers that almost cost them.
Yeah, I think for that reason, that the fact that they were able to get those sorts of things fixed and kind of get them out of their system. It's game one jitters, game one mess ups. I'm not freaking out if I'm UAB as far as giving up 35, somewhat close game to Central Arkansas. Those sorts of games happen all the time. The Central Arkansas is a solid FCS team, so I'm not worried about that. I'm a little bit more encouraged that the offense actually was able to put up 45 points. I mean, I know it was Central Arkansas, but hey, that's pretty good for UAB to put up that much. And I'm not high on Miami. I've said it, a lot during the offseason. I don't think the offense is going to be that good. I think I like De'Aaron King. He was awesome at Houston, but this is Miami, and it's a brand new system, short amount of practices, and I just don't like the talent at wide receiver. Really, the offensive line's not very good. I just think he's going to be running for his life, and the defense is good, but I don't think the defense is going to be maybe as good as it was last year. Losing Gregory Rousseau sitting out, that's a huge loss. So they got a lot of pieces to fill that from last year. So I think UAB, while they're not going to tear it up, I think they can actually move the ball a little bit. 14.5 is too much for me. I'm going UAB.
All right, guys to watch out for on UAB at the skill position. Spencer Brown at running back. He's looking to have a bounce back year this year. And then the wide receiver, Austin Watkins, somehow related to Sammy Watkins. I'm not sure what that relation is, but
I didn't even know that.
He's good. Yeah. All right, let's go to Saturday. We have Syracuse at North Carolina. The Tar Heels are favored 23, Trey.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams couldn't come into the season in more opposite directions. Going into last year, Syracuse had Dino Babers, he was fending off job offers. The Orange had a ton of preseason hype. They ended up obviously faltering, and they have extremely low expectations going into this year. Whereas North Carolina and Mac Brown, they're coming into 2020 as one of the most trendy teams, expectations kind of through the roof, at least in the ACC. Personally, when I look at the spread, it just feels like too many points, and there might be a little too much hype on North Carolina. So I'm actually going to take the points with Syracuse. I'm going to make them my lock.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay.
Now, no doubt, it's going to be tough to stop Sam Howell. He's got those weapons like Daz Newsome. You got Thunder and Lightning running backs, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. Like, they're going to be a force on offense. But to me, the key to the game is going to be if Syracuse can at least somewhat protect Tommy DeVito. The offensive line was a disaster last year, and they couldn't keep him off the turf. But I think if they, shored that up just a little bit, DeVito can live up to that early hype he had in his career and make enough plays to keep it within 3 scores and cover.
Yeah, I'm not high on Syracuse at all, and I am kind of high on North Carolina, but like you said, Trey, 23 seems like a lot of points. So I'm taking the Qs as well. One of the main reasons is DeVito just doesn't really turn the ball over very much. So if you don't turn the ball over a ton, you're obviously less likely to get blown out. So I don't see North Carolina being that dominant enough to win, in blowout fashion. So yeah, I just give me a Syracuse here.
Yeah, DeVito doesn't throw picks; he takes sacks. I mean, it's not all his fault.
Well, it's better.
It's better I guess a sack is better than a pick. But no, I'm very low on Syracuse this year. I guess we all are. But so this number, it makes sense to me. The why it's so big. Offensive line bad. We've talked about that. DeVito lost his best receiver, Tristan Jackson, from last year. His top 2 running backs just announced this week that they're sitting out the season. So just the skill position talent is, I think, very poor. DeVito, I actually think DeVito's pretty good, but I don't think he has much around him at all.
Yeah.
So I don't see him keeping up with Sam Howell. I'm gonna take the Heels. Moving on to Louisiana at Iowa State. Iowa State's favored 11.5. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, this is a big test for Iowa State. Louisiana Lafayette is a good team.
Okay. They want to be called Louisiana, Ryan.
Yeah, please. He just refuses.
It's Lafayette. Lafayette returns a lot of starters from an 11-win team. Levi Lewis. I can't not think of them as Lafayette. That's
fine.
Yeah.
Well, Lafayette's a different college, but
yeah, that's true.
Louisiana Lafayette. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But anyways, Levi Lewis, great efficient quarterback for them. Had a great year last year. They were top 10 in the nation in scoring offense and yards per play. So very effective. And they got pretty much almost everybody coming back on offense. They lose the big play wide receiver, but they still have enough, a lot of solid pieces there. And their defense was good too. They were number one defense, scoring defense in the conference. So they're legit. I do like Iowa State. I think they're good. I'm high on them going into this year as well, but I'm not going to bet against the Raging Cajuns here. I think they're good enough to hang with pretty much most teams that they go up against. So I'm taking Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, this one's tough because it's a game featuring two teams I would love to bet on. I'm very high on both teams and both coaches. Louisiana with Billy Napier, he's a rising star. Iowa State's Matt Campbell is, arguably already a star, but if you want to call him a rising star as well. So I don't know. It's tough, but I'm going to take the points because I don't know. I just think Louisiana is really good. The way Napier's been recruiting has been unbelievable. You bring up Levi Lewis, and in front of him got legitimately one of the best offensive lines in college football. They were really good last year. They bring just about everybody back. So I just think they're going to be a tough team to win by margin against, especially Ryan, with you mentioning their defense took a big step forward last year. Mm-hmm. So even though I really like Iowa State and I took them over 6.5 wins as my lock, I'm going to make plus 11.5 with Louisiana my lock.
Wow. Okay. High on Matt Campbell, but not insanely high. You're also high on Billy Napier. Who are you higher on?
I think I'm even higher on Billy Napier.
Yeah, that's a good coach game for Michael.
Yeah.
But seriously though, Louisiana is as tough of a non-conference team as you could face in this odd year that it is. A lot for me also, it points to Louisiana. 10 of their top 14 tacklers. Their defense was insane last year. All that firepower you guys talked about returning on offense. But I'm going against the grain and going to lay the points with the Cyclones. I'm going to take the little bit of the talent edge here and the home field. I'm a believer in Campbell and Purdy going into another year. The Cyclones, they're not taking Louisiana lightly. I honestly, I think there might actually be a lot of points scored in this game. So if I had to make a play, I might take the over. But I'm going to take Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean Louisiana's defense was good for a Sun Belt defense last year, but I do think Purdy can put up some points on him. Next game we have Georgia Tech at Florida State. Florida State's favored 12.5, and the Yellow Jackets have chosen their quarterback apparently, but we are not going to find out until Saturday. They're not releasing that info, so I would make James Graham the favorite. He was the starter last year as a freshman, but Jeff Sims, the 4-star true freshman, is maybe the more exciting option. So we'll see who they end up choosing. But whoever it is, Georgia Tech's going to have a lot better quarterback play this year. They're going to be one of the most improved teams in college football because they're second in the nation in returning production. Year 2 of that, complete change in system offensively. And so I like Georgia Tech, even though FSU has a super high ceiling. I'm just kind of low on them this year with the wholesale changes to the staff in the worst offseason to do that. So I'll take the plus 12.5.
I agree. I'm taking Georgia Tech plus the points as well. Yes, they were horrible, but Michael laid out the reasons why they're going to be a lot better. Plus, they got a couple of impact transfers coming in, especially on that offensive line, which was one of the worst parts they had last year. It's just a drastic difference that they need type of player they need up front. So I feel like those two guys will help turn the tide. They had a couple of wins last year in the ACC. They beat Miami at NC State. So, and a lot of their games they competed. So yeah, I got to go with the Yellow Jackets. I don't trust Florida State year 1, Mike Norvell. I know they have a lot of talent coming back, especially on that defense. But they've kind of underwhelmed with a lot of talent lately. So,
and on that defense, Hamza Nasruddin, their leading tackler from last year, he's out for this game with injury.
Brutalmente. Yeah, even worse.
Yeah, one thing to watch if Sims does get the nod at quarterback, he was a Florida State decommit, so that would be kind of intriguing to watch. I'm with you guys. The Noles are going to win, but I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets to cover. I'm maybe a little more bullish on Florida State than you guys this year. I just think that I think Norvell's going to get them to play, but I don't think it's going to happen week one. I think it's going to take a few games for them to kind of mesh and improve as the season goes on. So in this game with the wacky off season, I like the team that has a little bit more continuity, especially on that defense. Georgia Tech returns all that production like you guys talked about. So I'm also rolling with the Ramblin' Wreck.
Okay, Western Kentucky at Louisville. Another sneaky good game. Louisville's favored 11.5. What do you think, Trey?
This is a tough one. I really like Helton's squad at Western Kentucky. They return a lot of pieces from their 9-win team last year. They won their bowl game. They have one of the best defensive end tandems actually in college football. You've got D'Angelo Malone. He had 21 tackles for loss, Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. Then they have Jawan Jones on the other side, had 12.5 tackles for loss. So that's a formidable 1-2 punch on the D line. But and it's also gonna help considering Louisville does lose some pieces on their up front on their offensive line. But to me, it came down
Mekhi
to
Becton, the big one,
of course. But overall, to me, it came down to Louisville and Satterfield having familiarity with the Hilltoppers. These two played last year, and Louisville actually won by 17. Now, Satterfield's got year 2. He's got a confident bunch with the way that they played down the stretch at the end of last year. You got that three-headed monster of Cunningham at quarterback, Tutu Atwell at receiver, and Hawkins at running back. Those three, in any given play will help neutralize that Hilltopper D line. So I'm going to roll with Louisville.
Yeah, you pointed out the big concern to me is that pass rush from Western Kentucky, and just that defense in general is very good. It would be a good defense even in the ACC, I think. But like you said, they put 38 points on that Western Kentucky defense last year. Louisville did, so I think they can at least get close to that. And I don't think the Hilltoppers offense is good enough on the ground to exploit the weakness that is the Louisville rush defense. So I will lay the 11.5 with Louisville. And by the way, just to bring up Western Kentucky's quarterback for this game, looks like it's going to be Tyrell Pigram, the Maryland transfer. So I do like him. He can make some plays with his legs, but I don't think it'll be enough.
Passer.
Oh, that's harsh.
Harsh but true.
Hey, I mean, they made Ty Story into a pretty decent passer last year. So.
Western Kentucky's done some work with some former not so great guys. I agree with you, Mike. I like Louisville. Louisville beat them by 17 last year, and that was in a neutral field. This time it's in Louisville. Did you already say that, Trey?
That's all right. Yes. It's all right. Ryan just tunes me out.
I tuned out for a little bit there. I gotta admit. Sorry about that. My bad. So yeah, it's only Scott Satterfield's third game last year. But that's too much firepower. Too much firepower for Louisville for Western Kentucky to keep it that close. Louisville's going to be good. So yeah, I think this is a good pick here for Louisville.
Okay, next game we have Arkansas State at Kansas State. Wildcats are favored 10.5. Ryan.
Yes, they are. I like the Red Wolves here. Arkansas State. We just did our Big 12 preview, and yeah, we just did it. Sorry, somebody was taking control of my mouse on my computer. Like,
whoa.
Well, yeah, I don't know what happened there. Maybe Angie's got me using my mouse or something. We have two computers, and maybe I don't know. She got the mouse mixed up. I was like, what's going on? Anyways.
Maybe this is the sign that Arkansas State isn't the pick.
Yeah, it's like change your pick. No, I'm sticking with them. So yeah, we just did our Big 12 preview, and I kind of laid out pretty strongly why I'm low on the Wildcats. I just don't think their offense is going to be good at all. I don't think they're going to be able to beat many teams by more than 10 points, especially a solid team with a solid offense like Arkansas State. They already played a game. They got the kinks worked out. And I think Memphis is better than K-State, and Arkansas State was able to give them a game. So I see this going down to the wire. I really do. I think it'll be a neck and neck game the whole way. And I'm going to make Arkansas State my lock. Back-to-back weeks, I'm making them my lock.
I see this game going down the wire, and I'm going to make Arkansas State my lock. No.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I tuned out there. Did I say what Ryan said?
Oh,
no.
A bit.
No, I'm not. I'm actually going the other way. I'm going to take Kansas State. that's a tough start to the season for Arkansas State, playing at Memphis, and now they get K-State. K-State gets a week of tape on Arkansas State, and I think Kleiman's going to take advantage this week. He's also probably, like I said, he's probably happy that Lane Hatcher isn't the guy going. They get that 2 quarterback system. But no, K-State, they do have a lot to replace on that offensive line, which we talked about in the Big 12 preview. But they replaced their O-line with a bunch of big boys. They average over 320 pounds. So that's not something Arkansas State would generally see on a week in, week out basis. I also think that even if that does break down, I trust Skylar Thompson to make enough plays and he can scramble when needed. So I'm taking the Wildcats.
Okay. Well, I think you guys are ignoring actually 2 key differences between these 2 teams.
AR.
Oh, good job, Trey. Trey's all over it.
I looked at that earlier.
Good, very nice. But no, I'm with Ryan. I'm going with Arkansas State. Kind of the same analysis as last week. It's just that's a lot of points to give against a team with a really good offense and really good quarterback play. So I like the Red Wolves as well. Next game, we have an ACC matchup, Duke at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's favored 20. It's their first game as a member of the ACC. I think they're going to dominate. We talked about it in the ACC preview. I don't think Chase Bryce has much help around him on offense, going up against a really good Notre Dame defense led by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at linebacker, Kyle Hamilton, a potential star at safety. And on the other side, even though Duke has a very good pass rush, or at least they should, they've got a couple really good guys on that D-line. I think 5 returning starters on Notre Dame's O-line is kind of the antidote for that. So I think Ian Book will get enough done to get the cover here.
I'm starting to go against you guys. It seems like I personally, I agree with the sense that I think this is going to be one of Brian Kelly's best teams. Ian Book is poised to have a big year, but I'm just going to take all these points with Duke. I'm not in love with Chase Bryce, but I think Cutcliffe can get the most out of him in this season. Another matchup I do like is Duke's secondary versus the Irish receivers. Duke's top 4 corners all have a ton of experience. They made some plays last year. They also, you lightly touched on the defensive line, Michael. They have their preseason All-American DN, Chris Rumpf. He might be able to get at least a little bit of disruption in the Notre Dame backfield, or at least enough to keep this game respectable and within the spread. So that's why I'm going to take Duke.
Yeah, I disagree with Trey. I'm going to go with Michael here. I think Notre Dame's going to crush them. I think they'll run all over them. Duke won't be able to do anything on offense. Chase Bryce, give me a break. He's short amount of time in the system. I mean, nothing to work with. Great defense like Notre Dame. I don't see it. I think Notre Dame will win easily.
Okay, final game that we're all breaking down here. Clemson at Wake Forest. Game day is going to be at this one. And the point spread is a very, very narrow 33 points.
Hey, for Clemson in the ACC, that's
my Lord, though. That is a lot of points. I mean, I know Wake lost.
Yeah.
I know Wake lost Surratt to the opt-out and Jamie Newman to the transfer, but I'm going to take the Demon Deacons. I still like Sam Hartman at quarterback. You would think he would only improve this year with under Coach Clausen. Add in the fact that Wake has one of the best DNs in Carlos Basham. Clemson, we've talked about it. I mean, they're obviously just littered with talent. I get it, but they have to replace 3 of its top 4 receivers, most of its O-line, and guys like Isaiah Simmons, who was the quarterback of that defense last year. They're going to win, and it'll be comfortable, but it might take them a little bit to gel, so I'll take the points with Wake.
I agree with you. I'm taking the points with Wake. Wake's going to be pumped for this one. Game 1, game day's there. I know there won't be a bunch of fans in the stands, but they'll still be pumped. Primetime television here. And I kind of agree with you about the fact that Clemson seems to be, I don't know, I guess it's just lately, but they seem to be a little slow out of the gate these past couple of years, especially last year. They were very slow out of the gate.
Last year, I remember they were for sure.
Yeah, and then they just flipped a switch. So I could see them happening, especially with, needing some time to gel with so many new pieces. They're going to turn it on. It's just, I don't think they can turn it on game 1 against a solid team. Wake Forest is, consistently in bowl games. They're solid. I think Wake has enough, especially on defense, to make this a somewhat competitive game, not just a complete annihilation. So, and Clausen's a good offensive coach. They'll get some points up on the board.
All right, I'll be the one to go the other way. I think I'm not looking at Wake Forest this year as the Wake Forest of the past several years. I just think there's too many losses, and especially on offense. I don't know. I don't think Sam Hartman has enough around him, and even Sam Hartman himself. Like, I think that the perception of him right now is maybe a little bit too high. I don't know if he's yet proved that. So maybe he can do that and keep this one more respectable than I think. But I'll lay the wood with Clemson. Okay, let's get to our honorable mentions and make some picks there. Let's go ahead, Trey.
All right, yeah. Well, the first one that was supposed to play this week was Louisiana Tech and Baylor. This game ended up getting.
Don't we get music for honorable mentions?
It's playing. It's very quiet.
Yeah,
I don't hear.
Wow.
Do you hear that, Trey?
I hear it absolutely. Ryan's gone deaf. But maybe. This game, the Louisiana Tech Baylor game, it got postponed as Louisiana Tech had a major COVID outbreak on their team. So that's unfortunate. Baylor will have to start their season, or both these teams will have to start their season another day. Next, we got Tulane, who's favored 8 at South Alabama. South Alabama, they're playing their first game in the new on-campus stadium. I know South Alabama had a good win as a double-digit dog last week, but as we found out, Southern Miss wasn't very good. Even their coach resigned after. Tulane, they're coming off a bowl victory, have a major influx of grad transfer talent from some Power 5 schools, namely Mikhail Jones from Oklahoma, the wideout, and corner Kyle Myers from Florida State. I like Coach Willie Fritz. The coaching staff is calling this their best defense they've had in that regime. I'm going to take Tulane.
Okay. I've got 5 games between Power 5 teams and FCS teams. So I'll just point out what I'm looking for in each game. So first, Bobby Petrino's Missouri State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's favored 40.5. Get a chance to see Spencer Rattler for the first time. I would expect things to go very smoothly against Missouri State. Houston Baptist at Texas Tech. Red Raiders favored 39.5. And they gave up a ton of big plays last year. And last week against North Texas, Baptist actually threw for 480 yards. So maybe a tiny bit of a test for Tech. If they're improved, they should definitely give up a lot less than 480 yards.
Yeah, I would think.
Eastern Kentucky at West Virginia. West Virginia's favored 40.5. And the Mountaineers, the big thing we need to see from them is a better running game. It was terrible last year, so they need to get off to a good start here.
Eastern Kentucky just got throttled their first game too, right?
Yeah, Marshall just killed them, right?
Yeah.
So Mountaineers need to do the same. Next up, Austin Peay, a good FCS team actually, at Pitt. Pitt is favored 27. We know Pitt's going to have a really good defense, so I would expect them to shut down Austin Peay. Question is, has Kenny Pickett taken that next step forward in his senior season? It's hard to take that step in the senior season, but
after you've seen so much of him
from Wake Forest did it. Kenny Pickett can do it.
True.
I actually don't have the faith that he will, but maybe. Finally, Utep at Texas. Sorry, Utep. I know you're not technically FCS, but Texas is favored 43. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new skill talent for Texas. So you got Tariq Black, the grad transfer from Michigan at receiver. And then at running back, Bijan Robinson, the 5-star true freshman.
Yeah, that's pretty cold, Mike.
Sorry.
UTEP won. They're 1-0.
That's true. They beat, who was it? Stephen F. Austin?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it, right?
It's a close one, though.
Yeah. Hey, they won by 10. Stephen F. Austin's solid. All right. For UTEP, that's good. All right. Anyways, moving on. Charlotte at Appalachian State. App State is favored at 17. And this one, App State should be dominant again this year in the Sun Belt. Zach Thomas, senior quarterback. He seems like he's been there forever. Also played linebacker at Texas Tech. So he's pretty versatile guy. And pretty much everybody else is coming back on offense as well. They returned so much. Defense, they got some pieces to fill, but the App State seems to always have a good defense. So I think they're going to be just fine there. Charlotte, definitely improving under Will Healy. Made a bowl game last year. Fantastic. But I just don't think they're going to have enough ammo. Stick with App State just yet. They do lose like their two best players they've ever had on defense, leading sack person in their history and leading tackler in their history. So I got App State there. Coastal Carolina at Kansas, revenge game here from last year. Coastal Carolina won at Kansas by 5 last year. It was like 12-7. Really thrilling game. Kansas favored 6.5, which, you kind of just look at some of these things like Kansas returns essentially nobody. They have like, what are they, 128th in returning production? I think Michael said that in the Big 12 previews.
Like that. I think 126th, but yeah.
Something horrible. Like they return nobody. And they were terrible last year. But the Chanticleers, they return quite a bit. They got CJ Marable. They're kind of versatile running back. He's a good player. And a couple solid QBs. Looks like Fred Payton might get the nod there at quarterback. So defense got a lot of production back, especially in the front seven. So, yeah, I got to go with the Chanticleers here, man. Give me the plus 6.5.
All right. And it's actually up to 7, so I'll give you the plus 7 there.
Wow. My bad. Yeah, definitely take them.
All right. Let's close out this episode here with a questionable finish. Controversial Twitter figure Sir Yacht continues to report dates for the Big Ten to announce they're coming back. And those dates, unfortunately, have all been wrong so far. What is something you've been constantly wrong about?
Well, I was pretty wrong for a while. I turned a corner, but I was pretty wrong for a while that Kellen Mond was a terrible quarterback, and they might as well just move into wide receiver and give up.
Wow, yeah, that was after one game against UCLA. He went like 1 for 12 or something, and he was out.
I was done, man. I was done.
Yeah. Well, my whole life I've been wrong about pronouncing kind of a lot of different words, but in particular, bowl and bowl. So like BOWL and BULL. To me, those words are the same. Like in my brain, I pronounce them the same, but that is very wrong.
Huh.
What?
Bowl and
I
bowl?
say them. What?
Do you say them the same? Are you with me?
Bowl. I
Yeah,
pretty much do. Maybe I go more O sound with like a cereal bowl rather than
that's the way
bowl.
it's supposed to be, but in my brain, they're the same.
Yeah,
just like same with like goal and goal. GOAL and GULL. Those are all the same to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say recently, in the last couple of years, Subway, the restaurant. I go back and I say it's gonna be good this time, and it's not good. I go back, I wait a month or two. I'm like, I'm going back. It's gonna be good this time. It's not good. I went there I went there every day for a stretch, and I think I must have gotten tired of it. But now I try, and I'm still just wrong.
Even when I went there every day, I didn't like it. It just was just cheap.
Yeah, it's convenient.
It's relatively healthy. So, yeah. All right. Virginia Tech head coach Justin Fuente announced that Hendon Hooker will be the starter in their season opener against Virginia next week. But he said backup Braxton Burmeister, the transfer from Oregon, will also play. What is your favorite 2-quarterback system of all time?
If I had to be, I'm just going to quickly say it. Now, as a homer pick that year with Tommy Frazier and Brooke Behringer, that was mainly in a couple games, but that's not who I'm going to say. I'm going to look at more recently. Oklahoma had Blake Bell and Landry Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You remember
Belldozer.
the Belldozer package? They used him so much in the red zone or short yardage, third down. Like he was fun to watch. And I mean, Landry just tossed it all over the yard everywhere else, but the Belldozer package was fun.
My answer is very similar. It's Texas in 2016, and they really only did it kind of significantly in game one against Notre Dame.
That's right.
Yeah, it was Shane Bichelle as the starter, and then they had the 18-wheeler package with Tyrone Swoops coming in, basically just the running quarterback. And it was awesome, especially in that Notre Dame game, because that was, of course, the infamous Texas is back game. Yeah. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was a good one. There's a couple of you guys left me here. You could obviously go with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow at Florida when they won the national title. That one's kind of an easy one to pick.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with good old classic for the Newmans, the Timmy Chang and Sean Withy Allen at Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in 02, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I looked that up, the year.
Yeah,
that
was kind of like, honestly, they were kind of ahead of their time when you brought in a mobile quarterback. Just didn't seem like that
Mhm.
happened as much.
A package for him. Yeah, that was some
great.
good times.
All right, last question. Let's get to our upset special for the week. You got to pick a 7+ point underdog to win outright. And the reason I wanted to clarify that point spread was 7, Ryan, is that I'm taking the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers to win outright at Kansas.
Yeah.
I'm going to say CJ Marable goes for 150 yards and outduels Puka Williams and gets the job done.
All right.
All right, I like it. I know I didn't pick them in my rundown, but as far as an underdog that could win outright, I'm going to say South Alabama. They could beat Tulane as an 8-point dog or so. They have momentum playing their game last week. They're confident after putting up a show. Desmond Trotter, he could light it up. So that'll be my pick.
All right, that's good. I'm going to go with Arkansas State. I think they're about a 10.5 point dog at Kansas State. I think they can really, with that game under their belt, they can jump on Kansas State early and maybe hang on. So I'm taking the Arkansas State.
All right. Thanks for listening to the College Football Bros podcast. Be sure to enter your picks for week 2 of our pick'em pool. Like I said, we posted that on Twitter at CFB Bros. It's in our Instagram bio, also at CFB Bros. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/College Football Bros. We got a ton of bonus episodes up there. We're doing a Patreon trivia night on Zoom on Friday, so you can join in time for that. And we will talk to you next week.
You've been listening to the College Football Bros. If you have any questions for the next podcast, email them to collegefootballbros@gmail.com. To keep up with the brothers on social media, like them on Facebook at College Football Bros, follow them on Instagram at College Football Bros, and for their commentary on Saturdays, follow them on Twitter at CFB Bros. Thanks for listening.